Nuestro periodista Jeff Sierra hizo seguimiento al caso de Jorge Luis Alfonso López, el Gatico, el hombre que está condenado a 29 años de prisión por...
Imagine this, a group of hitmen, disguised as police officers, storm into a Barranquilla clinic with one mission: to take out Jorge Luis Alfonso López, a man feared and respected in equal measure, known on the streets as El Gatico. But their plan fails. In the chaos, two people close to him are killed, but El Gatico survives. This is no ordinary escape. This is the survival of a man who has inherited one of Colombia's most notorious criminal empires. Jorge Luis Alfonso López isn't just any criminal. He's the son of Enilse López, better known as Gata, a name that still sends chills down the spine of many in Colombia. Gata built an empire through a mix of fear, power, and ruthless efficiency, and now her son, El Gatico, carries on her legacy. Despite being sentenced to 29 years in prison, he continues to control vast criminal networks from behind bars, with Barranquilla as his stronghold. But this recent assassination attempt is more than just a failed hit. It's a glimpse into the tangled web of corruption and power that keeps people like El Gatico in charge. His story isn't just about one man's fight to stay alive. It's about the deep-rooted criminal empires in Colombia that seem almost impossible to destroy. As we dive into this tale, we'll uncover how El Gatico has become a key figure in Colombia's ongoing war, and why taking him down is no simple task. What does this mean for Colombia's future? Stay with us as we explore the dangerous game of survival and power that's playing out in the shadows of Barranquilla, and how it ties into the larger battle against crime in the country.
Esta pena se debía cumplir en el centro penitenciario El Bosque de Barranquilla. Sin embargo, ha logrado que se le otorgue casa por cárcel. No obstante, sorprendió a la opinión pública tras conocerse su presunto atentado en un centro hospitalario de Barranquilla.
Enilse López, better known as Gata, was a name that struck fear and commanded respect in Colombia. Born into a humble background, she rose to become one of the most powerful and feared women in the country's criminal world. Gata started her empire in the 1980s, initially through the lottery and gambling business. But this was just the tip of the iceberg. Behind the scenes, her operations extended far deeper into the murky world of illegal activities. What set Gata apart wasn't just her business acumen, but her ruthless ability to build alliances. She wasn't just a businesswoman, she was a strategist. By aligning herself with paramilitary groups, she secured her place at the top. These paramilitary groups, often involved in drug trafficking and violence, provided the muscle she needed to expand her empire. In return, she offered them financial support and a network of influence. This symbiotic relationship allowed Gata to dominate Barranquilla and other regions, making her a key player in Colombia's underworld. Her influence wasn't limited to just criminal activities. Gata had her fingers in many pies, including politics. Through bribery, intimidation, and her vast network of loyal followers, she managed to exert significant control over local politicians and law enforcement. This made her nearly untouchable for many years. She was the queen of her empire, and her word was law.
Como lo ha demostrado recientemente la reconstrucción de la historia del fenómeno paramilitar en el país, en el Caribe colombiano.
Todo inicia con Enilse López. Ella hizo muy buena liga como impuso, a pesar incluso que trabajan lavando dinero a través de una apuesta, a través de todas esas empresas falladas que ella tenía.
Jorge Luis Alfonso López, known as El Gatico, was born into this world of power, crime, and corruption. As the son of Gata, he was groomed from a young age to take over the family business. When Gata passed away, El Gatico stepped up, inheriting not just her wealth, but her entire criminal empire. Unlike some who might crumble under the pressure of such a legacy, El Gatico embraced it. His activities weren't much different from those of his mother. Drug trafficking, money laundering, and connections to paramilitary groups were all part of his daily operations. But El Gatico also had his unique touch. He was more modern in his approach, using technology and more sophisticated methods to keep his empire running smoothly. Despite his deep involvement in crime, El Gatico didn't shy away from the public eye. He dabbled in local politics, much like his mother, using his influence to control various aspects of the city of Barranquilla. This gave him a dual identity. To some, he was a businessman and politician. To others, he was a feared and ruthless criminal.
Que llegó a esa zona y que se apropió de la zona porque tenía pistas, compró muchas tierras y a su vez tenía también caletas del... Ese señor que llegó a esa zona es el mexicano Gonzalo Rodríguez Gata.
However, in 2013, the law finally caught up with him. El Gatico was sentenced to 29 years in prison for his involvement in a series of crimes, including murder. But even behind bars, his influence didn't wane. Through a network of loyalists and corrupt officials, El Gatico continued to pull the strings, maintaining his grip on the empire his mother built. His story is a testament to the enduring power of criminal dynasties in Colombia, a legacy passed down from mother to son, continuing the cycle of crime, corruption, and control.
En abril de 2024, suspenden a la jueza que había otorgado en primera medida la liberación del gato para después cambiarla a casa por cárcel, para que en mayo de 2024 dieran medidas de aseguramiento y traslado al centro penitenciario El Bosque de Barranquilla.
On a seemingly ordinary day in Barranquilla, a local clinic became the scene of a terrifying and well-orchestrated attack. Jorge Luis was undergoing routine medical treatment when a group of hitmen, disguised as police officers, stormed the facility. Their mission was clear: take out El Gatico. These assassins moved with chilling precision. They knew exactly where to go, who to target, and when to strike. The moment they entered the clinic, chaos erupted. Shots were fired, echoing through the sterile corridors as innocent patients and staff scrambled for cover. The attack was swift but brutal. Two of El Gatico's closest associates were caught in the crossfire and tragically lost their lives. The hitmen, however, failed in their primary objective. Against all odds, El Gatico managed to survive the ambush, narrowly escaping with his life. The hitmen fled the scene as quickly as they had arrived, leaving behind a trail of blood and terror. Who were these masked men who dared to target one of Colombia's most notorious criminals? The answer to this question is shrouded in mystery, but several theories have emerged.
En la clínica, por la clínica donde está el recluido, que es de su propiedad, prácticamente de su propiedad, es estética. A mí la juez me respondió de que el señor tenía una enfermedad grave, requiere de unas manos especializadas, médicas especializadas, porque señor, pero es que es mentira.
One possibility is that the hitmen were sent by rival criminal factions. In the cutthroat world of organized crime, power struggles are common, and eliminating a key player like El Gatico could shift the balance of power in Barranquilla. Another theory suggests that these assassins might have had connections to corrupt elements within law enforcement, eager to settle old scores or clear the way for their own operations. The motivations behind the attack are complex. El Gatico has many enemies, both within the criminal underworld and possibly within the corridors of power. His survival is a testament to the fact that he is not just a man, but a symbol of a much larger and deeply entrenched network of power and corruption. In the wake of the assassination attempt, El Gatico wasted no time in responding. Though wounded, his focus shifted immediately to tightening his security and hunting down those responsible. Rumors spread like wildfire that El Gatico was furious, determined to make an example of anyone involved in the attack. His associates quickly moved to reinforce his position, ensuring that such a breach would never happen again.
Lo mismo le está pasando al gato. También hay otro componente que es silenciar la verdad, que a través de los grandes testaferros paramilitares y los grandes empresarios que utilizaron a estas personas y que ahora quieren hablar en la JEP, los están tratando de silenciar.
The public and media reactions were swift and intense. News of the attack dominated headlines across Colombia, with many speculating about the broader implications. In Barranquilla, fear rippled through the community as residents grappled with the reality that even the most powerful criminals were not safe. The media painted a picture of a city on edge, where the lines between law enforcement and organized crime blurred dangerously. For El Gatico, this close call was a reminder of the precarious nature of his power, yet it also underscored his resilience and the lengths to which he would go to protect his empire. While the hitmen may have failed, the attempt on his life served as a stark warning. In the world of crime, no one is untouchable.
De que esta juez debería ser investigada porque es la misma juez que mantuvo a Enilse López, alias La Gata, que en paz descanse, mucho tiempo evadiendo la cárcel.
Jorge Luis Alfonso López isn't just a name whispered in the shadows, he's a force that dominates the streets of Barranquilla. Despite his 29-year prison sentence, his influence stretches far beyond the prison walls. The city's criminal activities, from drug trafficking to extortion, are still under his command, almost like he's running the show from his cell. But how does he manage to keep such a tight grip on Barranquilla? The answer lies in the deep-rooted corruption that infests the city. Corruption here isn't just a problem, it's the very fuel that powers El Gatico's empire. Politicians, law enforcement officers, and local business figures are often in his pocket, ensuring that his operations continue smoothly. Money talks, and in this world, it shouts. Bribes, threats, and favors keep the wheels of his criminal machine turning, allowing him to operate with near impunity. This corruption doesn't just protect El Gatico, it shields his entire network. The local police, who are supposed to be the line of defense against criminals, are often the very ones helping them. It's a twisted system where those who are meant to uphold the law are complicit in breaking it, making Barranquilla a city where justice is for sale and power is maintained through fear and bribery. But El Gatico isn't working alone. His power is bolstered by a broader criminal network that extends beyond Barranquilla. This network is like a spider's web, with El Gatico at the center, connected to various players in Colombia's underworld. His associates include other powerful figures in the region, each controlling their own piece of the criminal pie. Together, they form a syndicate that's almost impossible to break. This network operates with a level of sophistication that rivals that of international drug cartels. It's not just about selling drugs, it's about controlling territories, manipulating political outcomes, and maintaining a steady flow of money and power. El Gatico's empire includes everything from money laundering operations to violent enforcers who ensure that his orders are followed to the letter. These connections make him one of the most powerful men in Colombia's criminal landscape, despite his incarceration. When we talk about El Gatico, it's hard not to draw comparisons to notorious figures like Joaquin El Chapo Guzman and Ismael El Mayo Zambada. Like El Chapo, El Gatico runs his empire with ruthless efficiency, maintaining control through a mix of fear, violence, and strategic alliances. And like El Mayo, he's managed to stay in power despite the best efforts of law enforcement. One key similarity is their ability to operate from the shadows. Even though El Gatico is behind bars, his influence hasn't waned. This mirrors how El Chapo continued to run his cartel while incarcerated, proving that physical imprisonment doesn't necessarily mean the end of criminal operations. The reach of these men extends far beyond their immediate surroundings, thanks to loyal followers who are more than willing to continue their dirty work. Another comparison lies in their business acumen. El Gatico, like El Mayo, understands that power in the criminal world isn't just about brute force. It's about building networks, securing alliances, and managing a complex web of illegal activities. These operations are run with the precision of a multinational corporation, with each player knowing their role in the grand scheme. It's this level of organization that makes them so difficult to take down. But why is it so hard to dismantle these criminal empires? The answer is twofold: corruption and loyalty. Corruption keeps them protected, while loyalty ensures that even if one piece falls, the rest of the structure remains intact. These men have built empires based on fear and respect, and their followers are often willing to die rather than betray them. This loyalty is cemented through years of shared criminal enterprise, mutual benefits, and a deep understanding of the consequences of betrayal. In Colombia, as in Mexico, these criminal organizations are almost like shadow governments. They provide for their communities, fund local infrastructure, and even mediate disputes. This gives them a level of support from the local population, making it even harder for authorities to intervene. After all, when a drug lord is seen as a benefactor rather than a villain, it's no wonder they're so difficult to bring down. Colombia has been entangled in a complex and brutal conflict for decades, one that has shaped the country's history and continues to affect its present. This conflict, often referred to as Colombia's war, involves a mix of government forces, leftist guerrillas, paramilitary groups, and powerful drug cartels. To understand the current situation, let's take a brief look back. The conflict began in the mid-20th century, driven by deep social and economic inequalities. On one side were the government and military, fighting to maintain control. On the other were various guerrilla groups, the most famous being the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia, or FARC, who claimed to fight for the rights of the poor. But as time passed, the lines between ideologies and criminal activities blurred. FARC, for instance, turned to drug trafficking, kidnapping, and extortion to fund their war, becoming one of the richest guerrilla groups in the world. Around the 1980s, paramilitary groups began to form, initially as private armies to protect wealthy landowners from guerrillas. However, these paramilitaries soon turned into powerful criminal organizations themselves, involved in drug trafficking and carrying out brutal massacres to control territory. The government, at times, was accused of turning a blind eye or even collaborating with these paramilitaries. In the midst of this chaos, drug cartels like the Medellin and Cali cartels rose to power. Figures like Pablo Escobar became infamous worldwide, controlling vast drug empires and wielding enormous influence over Colombian society. The government's fight against these cartels, combined with the guerrilla warfare, created a volatile environment where violence and corruption thrived. Now, where does El Gatico fit into this tangled web? El Gatico is the son of Enilse López. She was a powerful figure with deep ties to paramilitary groups, controlling a vast criminal empire in Barranquilla. Even though La Gata is no longer alive, her legacy lives on through El Gatico. El Gatico inherited not just his mother's wealth, but also her connections and influence. His operations aren't just about money and power. They are about survival in a dangerous game where alliances are as important as ruthlessness. His network, like those of the old cartels, is deeply embedded in the fabric of Colombia's ongoing conflict. In many ways, El Gatico represents the next generation of Colombia's criminal underworld. He is part of a new wave of criminals who are both inheritors and innovators, blending old-school brutality with modern tactics. El Gatico's network plays a significant role in the current war dynamics in Colombia. His operations contribute to the ongoing instability, particularly in regions where the government's control is weak. Just like the infamous drug lords before him, El Gatico knows that power comes not just from money, but from alliances. By aligning himself with other powerful figures in the drug trade, he ensures that his empire remains strong, even in the face of assassination attempts and government crackdowns. But this power comes at a cost. El Gatico's operations contribute to the broader conflict and instability in Colombia, fueling violence and making it harder for the country to find peace. His network thrives in the shadows, where corruption allows criminals to operate with impunity. This, in turn, perpetuates the cycle of violence that has plagued Colombia for so long. As long as figures like El Gatico remain in power, the conflict in Colombia is unlikely to end. Their influence is a reminder that while the faces may change, the underlying issues, poverty, inequality, corruption, remain the same. And until these issues are addressed, Colombia's war will continue, with new players stepping into the roles once held by the likes of Pablo Escobar and La Gata. This is the harsh reality of Colombia's ongoing war, where men like El Gatico continue to shape the future of a country still struggling to escape its violent past. Corruption and violence are the twin pillars that uphold these blood empires. Corruption weaves its way through every layer of society, from local police officers to high-ranking officials. Bribes, threats, and favors create a shield around the empire, making it difficult for law enforcement to penetrate. Those who dare to challenge the empire often find themselves outmaneuvered, outpaid, or worse, out of a job, or even out of this world.
Es pertinente entender que acá se disputan dos bandas criminales. Las dos bandas criminales podrían estar señaladas como suplantaciones. También se habla de una presencia del Clan del Golfo a través de grupos y alianzas criminales locales.
Bueno, las investigaciones nos determinarían que no hay presencia de Clan del Golfo en la ciudad de Bogotá. Es un trabajo que hemos hecho precisamente día tras día para atacar cualquier posibilidad de que ellos estén aquí, y hasta el momento está totalmente descartado.
Violence, on the other hand, is the language of power in these circles. It's how empires maintain control, eliminate threats, and ensure loyalty. The brutal force used against rivals, whistleblowers, or anyone who stands in the way is a clear message: challenge us, and you pay with your life. This fear keeps people in line and makes the empire even harder to break.
Los mismos policías llegan hasta tarde, ya cuando ha pasado todo. Eso fue entre las 4:45, 5 de la mañana aproximadamente. Pues ahí sí todo el ruido, todo el escándalo, pues es que por ahí una bala perdida o alguna vaina, entonces no se puede asomar para ninguna parte abajo, pero entonces yo escuché los 6 y después 2 más, y después escuchaba que rastrillaban peinillas por el piso.
For law enforcement, taking down a blood empire is like fighting an enemy that's everywhere and nowhere at the same time. They might catch a few members or take down a smaller operation, but the core of the empire remains intact, ready to rebuild and strike back. The intergenerational nature of these empires means that as soon as one leader falls, another is ready to take their place, often with more ruthlessness and a deeper understanding of the game.
Si se ha realizado seguimiento ante estas evidencias.
¿Qué es lo que están haciendo la delincuencia común y organizada? Están sacando todas esas imágenes que se han sacado en otros tiempos donde se muestran allí.
So, what does the future hold for El Gatico and his empire? Despite the recent assassination attempt, it's clear that his grip on power is far from loosening. If anything, the attempt on his life might make him even more dangerous as he seeks revenge and tightens his control over his operations. The cycle of violence and corruption is likely to continue, with El Gatico adapting to survive just as his mother did before him. As long as corruption is rampant and violence is an accepted means of maintaining power, blood empires like El Gatico's will remain a significant force in Colombia. For Colombia, this means the fight against organized crime is far from over, and the road to dismantling these empires is still long and fraught with danger. In the end, breaking a blood empire requires more than just taking down its leader. It requires dismantling the very systems of corruption and fear that keep these families in power. Until that happens, figures like El Gatico will continue to rise, survive, and hold their grip on Colombia's future. Can Colombia ever truly break free from the grip of these blood empires? Or will the cycle of power, corruption, and violence continue to repeat? What do you think? We'd love to hear your thoughts, so drop a comment below and share your views on whether you believe these empires can be dismantled or if they're here to stay. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and hit that subscribe button for more deep dives into the world's most gripping stories. Thanks for watching.